Hello, I am Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic, and today we'll explore the Xiaomi 17 Ultra and its really impressive specs. First, it features a 1-inch sensor that delivers outstanding image quality thanks to its large physical size. Second, it's something quite unique, a 200 megapixel telephoto lens with optical zoom. As always, I'll show you everything using about 200 test photos. I suggest we start with an overview of technical specifications, but first let me point out that Xiaomi and Leica introduced also a very special thing called Leitzphone, which has some very specific tools and features. One of them would be that ring, it's called camera ring, and it enables us to control many aspects of your photography. So definitely do check out my video about Leitzphone. Now let's jump to the lenses and sensors. Obviously, the most important part of that mobile phone is the main lens, main sensor. It has 23mm, 50 megapixels, but what really matters most is its physical size. It's so-called 1-inch sensor, which means that its physical size is really much bigger than a normal size of a normal mobile phone, and it means that the quality might really be much better. Bigger sensor you have, greater quality of shots you are able to get. And apart from the quality, there is one important detail Xiaomi was pointing out, that this sensor should be much better in HDR. It means it's a new technology, it's a new generation of sensor which is able to deliver much better result in HDR, meaning in these shots like here where you have a huge differences between light and shadows, and it's really useful. Also, you're obviously able to use it for details and very typical shots for family shooting and travel shooting. We'll get to it in many more details soon. So 1-inch sensor is really important, but what matters probably even more is the telephoto lens, because it has variable focal length. It means it has optical zoom, and it's extremely rare and interesting. So here is Prague at night. The results are really quite impressive. That sensor has 200 megapixels, so we have the combination of optical zooming and a huge number of pixels, so it can deliver a really incredible variation of interesting photos. We'll get to many more details. Please take this just as an introduction to that lens, to that sensor, which has, as I mentioned, variable focal length from 75mm to 100. And of course, it has a lot of implications for many situations. We can use it for portraits, of course, like here in the case of these dogs, or you can see that not, of course, only the focal length counts. What really counts is that the quality of optics. Here is a portrait shot of this peacock, and if I crop this shot, you see that the level of details is really incredible. So not only we can zoom, but what of course matters most is the quality, as you can see from these examples, and in a couple of minutes I'll show you many more of them. Please take this as an introduction to that telephoto lens, which of course is the most important part of this generation of the Xiaomi 17 Ultra. Here again, a detail of peacock, and let's crop it. Let's see what happens. And once more, incredible, very, very interesting quality of the shot, which enables us to do crops like that. And of course, we should not forget we have third lens, third sensor. It's ultra-wide lens, ultra-wide sensor. There's 14mm, again 50 megapixels. And honestly, we won't pay much attention to that lens in this review because it's important. Its results are really great. But what really matters are different things like new 1-inch sensor, and obviously the telephoto. But please do not forget the ultra-wide lens is there, because it can deliver, of course, quite impressive results like you see here. But again, the really important stuff is happening at different levels. So let's go back to the telephoto lens, and one of the obvious questions would be, so we are able to zoom optically, yes, we can, but what's the meaning of it? And here is one of the answers. Why it matters. If I need to take shots like this, it's extremely important to know that you have the optics on your side, that you are able to achieve the level of blur like here. And do not please forget, this is not portrait mode. This is just optics which blurs the background. You are able, yes, to turn on portrait mode, and the effect then would not be only optical but also digital, so the level of blur would be even bigger. And yes, of course, you're able to regulate, to influence the level of the blur, but if you have that great optics, I just wouldn't do it much. But once more, one of the key features of this mobile phone would be that you are able to achieve shots like this. So this is definitely one of the interesting features and missions of the telephoto lens. One more detail we should mention, yes, indeed, you are able to use it for shots like that, but do know that you need to be at least 30 centimeters from the detail, which is important to mention because the previous generation, Xiaomi 15 Ultra, was able to allow you to take shots like that even from 10 centimeters. Why? Because it had one extra telephoto lens, which was able to deliver certain category of shots you're not able to get here, but still you have the variable focal length. I mentioned we have 200 megapixels in telephoto, which enables us to do one interesting trick I really love, which is shooting to full resolution, shooting to 200 megapixels. Typically I would not be doing it, but if you study these details carefully, so I'm really incredibly zooming to details, I'm cropping that shot, and look at the level of details we are able to get. So please, in this case, in the case of this mobile phone, shooting to full resolution definitely makes sense. Now I'm using the second option how to do it in Pro mode, and we are getting a huge file. So it's not surprising we are able to crop it and get a lot of stuff out of it. You can even see the structure of the lamps. I'm not able to see that there are any lamps at all from that distance, but yes, you're able to crop it and see it. So in this case, please do not forget the option is there. And thanks to amazing Leica's optics, it makes sense, which is not a typical case. One more example, I am able to do it in category of, say, product photography. And once more, if I crop this shot with 200 megapixels, we are able to get to the level of details, which is really, really impressive. And indeed, you might say, I do not want to take details, I just want to zoom. So let's test it. Let's go to Old Town Square, and yes, we can go from 0.6 up to 120 times digital zoom. You can see that at the very last moment, the algorithms sharpened the shot. So this is the ultra wide, and we would be going up, 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 and here we go. Here is the details. Quite impressive, quite interesting. I wouldn't probably be using it much, but I have to say I'm still really impressed. What are we able to get from distance like that? One more example from the banks of Vltava River, once again, going from ultra wide up to 120, and details of the clocks. Here are the results. Let's do it. Let's get closer, closer, closer. Here we are. Again, quite interesting. Whereas I mentioned I will not be using it much to 120, of course. There is one important part of what I really loved, and it's when you take the zoom, I mean, not only optical zoom, but also the digital zoom to a level of 10, 12 or something like this, you are able to achieve quite nice results. Here are some examples, birds or these amazing inhabitants of the banks of the Vltava River. Here is the portrait mode, but typically I would not be using portrait mode because what I am able to get without any digital tricks is quite impressive on itself. So here's the family, happy family, taking some rare sun bath during the winter time. And once again, why am I stressing this is that it's not only that we are able to zoom optically, it's not that we have 200 megapixels. It's above all for me that yes, it has Leica on it, and it means that the Leica in Germany really keeps eye on the quality of optics and the processing. And once more, if you see these shots, well, it's hardly imaginable that you'll be getting better details, better quality out of any mobile. So I really think, thanks to this, the Xiaomi 17 Ultra definitely counts among the top options in the world of flagships. I mentioned Leica, so yes, indeed, of course, it's not only optics, but also styles and filters, so you can select between two main styles, vibrant, authentic. I typically was using vibrant, and there are many filters, many options to use, so here are the examples, many different options how to set the world of your colors or black and white shots. And frankly, I'm not using this nearly at all. I don't really like these artificial things, but a lot of photographers do. So please just ignore me and do play with these colors, because you are able to get really quite interesting results. And if you are a Leica shooter, Leica owner, you know these names because they are same like in your camera. Or in this case, I didn't care much about the colors. I quite like it because the night mode turned on, and well, the yellow and blue is quite impressive here. This is the famous Czech king, Charles IV. You know him from many of my shots. You'll see some more in a couple of minutes. But what matters here is this is reasonably big distance, night mode, and still the level of details is really good. So do not be shy to do things which you would typically not do with mobile phones. And finally, let me show you my selection of 50 best or most interesting shots done with Xiaomi 17 Ultra from many different scenes. I'm using portrait mode here, I am zooming here, and I'm enjoying and experiencing the new HDR abilities of the new sensor. But again, what matters most is that definitely Xiaomi 17 Ultra counts among the top world mobile phones because it's able to deliver a many different type of shots from many different situations, from cities and details. It won't let you down even during very tough light like here. So these are details from Prague, and to be frank, this is not a phone for ordinary shooting. It's extremely useful to be experienced photographer, to be able to use all the tricks and features that mobile phone offers you. But even if you are not experienced, you'll probably be able to be very successful in shots like that, which again are very untypical for mobile photography because you're zooming digitally, you are working with portrait mode, which again delivers quite impressive results, a lot of details. And let me repeat one important point, that it's not only the zooming, it's also the general quality Xiaomi and Leica were able to deliver. Please do remember that the previous generation had one extra telephoto lens, quite useful for shots like that, but doesn't matter. We have some more stuff here at this generation with possibility to zoom in very complicated light. And again, the quality of processing, the quality of shots is really incredibly high. So this definitely counts among the top mobile phones of the world. And finally, let me to show you a couple of examples of video. Typically, I do not review video much because I have to apologize. I am really experienced photographer, so I'm able to evaluate photos, but I'm really not that experienced in video. So the best thing I can do is exactly what I am doing right now. So I am showing you a couple of examples of clips of video recordings I did during my review. And of course, you won't be disappointed. It fits obviously into what you would expect from one of the best mobile phones on the market. So indeed, all these shots are in 4K in HDR, so do not worry, you will like them, I'm sure. So thank you so much for your attention. I hope you got a bit of inspiration. Take care. I'm Jan from Prague, the Czech Republic.